Phil, today, Fabio Casartelli took his place on a podium that knows no first or second. He joins Tommy Simpson, who in 1967 sacrificed his life for the love of his sport. On Mount Ventoux, the passion he had for the ability he had been given was tragically given back. And many times these athletes' accomplishments are recorded and written as stats on paper. Others are written in stone. Well, the expectations of the day earlier are all forgotten. One event means more than any other. Miguel Indurain still leads the Tour de France. Alex Zula 2:46 behind in second. Bjarne Riis, fantastic effort with everything else that happened today. He moves from fourth to third. Now, with a reflection and some final thoughts, here's Phil.
Well, Adrian, the Tour de France is a family, and they've lost one of their members tonight. You know, the mountains are normally silent, but not when the Tour de France is on top of them, and yet there's an eerie silence around the whole finishing line tonight. They've lost a great rider, a young up-and-coming rider, already an Olympic champion. Fabio Casartelli would have been 25 next month. The Tour de France is indeed not a very nice place to be tonight, and everybody very, very upset. Jim Okovic and his Motorola team, they've lost a great member of their particular family. And of course, all of our condolences go to Casartelli's young family. You know, I remember the death of Tom Simpson back in 1967, as many Americans remember the death of John Kennedy. And from now on, I'm afraid, I'm going to remember this stage, not of Richard Virenque winning in such great style, but we lost Fabio Casartelli.
Join us tomorrow for stage 16, when the tour begins in Tarbes and ends in Pau. In the morning, the tour resumes with one less rider, but a new spirit. Fabio Casartelli.
This week, though, will be characterized not only by Indurain's record quest, but overshadowed by tragedy. This past Tuesday, during stage 15, Italian rider Fabio Casartelli was fatally injured in a crash. It will go down as one of the darkest days in the history of the Tour de France. Having ridden over 1,600 miles of this better than 2,200-mile course, and with the roads of Belgium and the test of the Alps behind them, the cyclists approached stage 15, expecting it to be among the Tour's most difficult. It would include 6 climbs, and on the descent of the first, this was the scene as a group of 6 riders were injured after failing to negotiate a dangerous curve, with Italian Fabio Casartelli striking one of the cement barriers along the roadside. Onlookers and medical personnel rushed to the scene of the crash. France's Dante Riis was rescued from the brush below, the crash sending him over the side of the mountain. Casartelli was airlifted to a hospital in nearby Tarbes. He suffered massive head and facial injuries and immediately slipped into a coma. He would die 30 minutes later. So for Lance Armstrong and the entire Motorola team, it has to be the most difficult finish of their careers. Their feelings expressed by their team director.
Well, I think that first of all, we send our sympathy to his family and to all his friends and supporters and his teammates here. And our prayers and thoughts go out to them, and it was a tragic day for us. And it's not too much else to say at the moment.
This sad day would come to a close in Cotteret as Fabio Casartelli's bicycle was put away one last time.
Fabio's dream and Fabio's goal was to finish the Tour de France on the Champs-Élysées in Paris. And he's not here to do that, but the team will do that for him.
He used to talk a lot, and he made friends everywhere. And so that's why the peloton was also shocked, because here at Tour de France, but in every other races, every single rider had the chance to talk with him. So everybody knew him, and everybody's missing him.
The next day, stage 16 would open with a moment of silence. Casartelli's former teammates would lead the way at the start line. on what would become one of the most touching days this race had ever seen. As the entire race field stayed in one huge peloton throughout the stage, one of the questions asked on this day is why helmets are not mandatory in the Tour de France, as they are in certain countries like the United States. In 1991, there was a rule implemented making them mandatory, but after protests by the cyclists, the rule was rescinded. It's important to note that the doctor who had treated Casartelli stated that a helmet probably would not have saved his life, although most safety experts certainly advised their use in reducing head injuries. As the stage progressed, the riders passed through countless expressions of love and sympathy left by the fans, by the shrines that now have become part of the countryside. And at the finish, the Motorola team still in front and thinking of the friend that was dearly missed.
The Tour de France, which has seen so many great battles since it was first brought to the roads of France in 1903, is now showing us all its other side.
And over these last few days, you know, Lance Armstrong has really experienced the emotions of the Tour de France. He knew what winning was all about when he won in 1993 in Verdun. He knew what losing was all about when he lost a couple of days ago in Revel, when he was sure that he was going to take that stage victory. And then today, he knows something that I don't think any of us can ever experience on the roads of the Tour de France.
Gone and out of sight is the main peloton in the Tour de France, as the boys in blue and red come into the circuit here at Pau all alone. So quite clearly the riders have discussed this during the day, and the Motorola team were told to come to the front at around about 12 kilometers from the finish. When Steven Swart punctured, the race shut off until he rejoined, as everybody on this team had to be involved in this result. The helicopters are now overhead of our commentary position, and the riders will shortly swing into the center of the finishing circuit here in Pau. And the crowd looking in almost silence at the arrival of the riders from Motorola. The crowd do know what is going on, because the French and the many Spanish people here are very au fait with what is happening in the Tour de France today. And no one will criticize the riders for this. They now fan out across the road, and the riders holding themselves off at a respectful distance. To an applause the Tour de France has never known before, the Motorola team remember Fabio Casartelli. There won't be a winner recorded today, and the main field come in behind and gently freewheel in.